Happy weekend, y'all. Welcome to another week in review. Hashtag Chantay's analysis. So let's just get right into it because it's late here on the East Coast and late everywhere else. So in terms of COVID, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, according to the World Health Organization COVID-19 dashboard, total cumulative cases of COVID-19 on the world map is 7. What is it? It's not 7. 773,819,856. Repeat those cumulative number of cases worldwide. 773,819,856 reported cases of COVID-19. In terms of the fatalities, 7,010,568. Now, in the Americas, let's drop down. In the United States, within the last 7 days, we had 839 reported cases. That is over 400 cases decreased from the previous week. In terms of the last 28 days, that's a month, there were 5,166 reported cases. That's over 500 decrease, less cases than it was the previous month. But we still have the highest cases on the globe. And I wish the country would just get real and start reporting COVID cases again because they're rising. In the United States of America, there is 1,161,235 reported cases of COVID-19. So the cases are rising here at home. Now, actually, that's the death toll. Excuse me, I read the death toll. I misread. So, there hasn't been 0 reported cases, within the last 28 days. But it's still a high number. 103 million, that's still high. So, there's over 103 million reported cases. Now, in terms of the death toll, it did rise. It's near almost 1.2 million. So it's 1,161,235. Now, in terms of vaccines, there was 711.81 million people, I guess that was vaccinated worldwide. Well, it's a total of 70% of Americans are vaccinated. 36% received their booster. I'm in that percentile. And at least 82% of Americans have received the first dose, but needed to complete the whole vaccine series, which they haven't yet. I know I did, and I got my 2 boosters, and I need to get my other one when I go to my dentist appointment, because it's also where my primary care doctor is. How sweet. So, just to summarize, so there's over 7 million people dead from this virus worldwide, as there's almost 800 million cases reported on the global stage. Here at home, we still have the highest cases. We're only 4.2% of the world's population, 103.4 million. And as of the death toll here at home is almost 1.2 million. So it's actually 1,161,235, and only 70% of Americans is vaccinated. Keep in mind, the vaccine is still free. So I'm not understanding this. They did say that the cases was going to rise. It was going to get, the cases was going to rise. And yet, people still not wearing a mask. People still not taking responsibility of getting vaccinated. People not getting boosters. Like, you have to be protected. Because this new variant is causing people's lungs to hurt. And causing more shortness of breath. Listen to the epidemiologists around you. There are a lot of black epidemiologists around. There's a lot of epidemiologists on social media platforms that will actually give you the right information about COVID, not listening to some non-script ass person. So I'm encouraging everybody to buy a mask. Buy an N95, which is highly recommended. And if there's no N95s in the radius because they're not being sold in stores, order them. Or order a surgical mask and double mask if you have to. I double mask all the time. Sometimes triple mask, but I double mask. I do a surgical and I do a cloth mask because it's wintertime here in New York. That air is crazy. And it's supposed to be cold here all week. So, ladies and gentlemen, with almost 800 million reported cases around the world, over 7 million people are dead. Here at home in the United States, we're 4.2% of the world's population. There's over 100 million reported cases here, and over damn near 1.2 million people are dead from this virus, and it's only 70% of the world of the country is vaccinated. There's something wrong. People need to take this seriously because people are still dying from this virus. So get your vaccine if you have not got vaccinated. Point blank, period. Now we're on to these politics. So, Christopher James Christie, Chris Christie of Newark, New Jersey, has finally dropped out of the race after being in the race getting barely any traction. Yes, he's coming after Donald Trump, but what was his platform? What was his plan for America? Because honestly, to tell you the truth, there is no plan. There never was no plan. Like, this man has no plan for America. He was basically running his presidential campaign as if he was running for governor of New Jersey again. And honestly, to tell you the truth, he was like the worst governor of New Jersey. So all of this, saying like, oh my God, his speech was so great. His speech was so good. That man voted for Donald Trump not once, but twice, and coached him for the debate, and basically had that same bum attack the president's deceased son. And all of a sudden you broke with him a couple months after the insurrection, and then still don't regret your vote for him, but now regret it. Like, I can't get with this shit. This is why, like, I don't respect the man. The man was always shiesty. He always been. I'm the state, next to his. Deuces. Go back to ABC. There's a spot waiting for you where you could get your deplorable takes again and criticize the Democratic Party. And to all the white liberals and the white moderates, supporting him, y'all can support that trash all y'all want to, because I won't. And no, I'm not working with somebody that's not going to vote for the president. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Oh. And speaking of his exit, his supporters won't go to Donald Trump. It's not going to Nimrata, because let's be real. Republican base, they're not into Nimrata. As people think they're into her. She has independents, and mostly they're white independents from like states like Iowa and New Hampshire. She barely got any white moderates in New York, to be honest, because they're all going to go for President Biden in New York. And that includes some of the Republican districts upstate. They're going to go for either Biden or that bum. And there's another thing I want to say about Nimrata's candidacy. Nimrata's whole platform is about white grievance in a brown body. It may sound cold, but that's what it is. Besides her, statements about the Civil War, this woman is anti-women's rights. I mean, there's history of her signing an abortion ban. There's history of her not expanding Medicaid and Medicare in the state of South Carolina, where my maternal side, my aunts and them still live there. And uncles and cousins. This woman is not, a moderate. She's trying to position herself as one. But we all know who the real Nimrata Nikki Haley is. And that's why I'm not going for her BS. I don't want to hear nobody say Democrats can appeal to her. Which Democrats? Because ain't this Democrat or no black Democrats. Maybe some white ones. Maybe some AAPI ones. But not even fully AAPI ones because they don't like her neither. So, no. She's not a moderate. And she never will be. So, like Sonny say, it's very hypocritical for people, the same people that criticize Hillary Clinton running as a woman candidate, where she really did not position herself as the woman candidate, are supporting Nimrata because she is the ideal woman president. No, she's not. This woman is anti-black to her core, even though black people helped her family when her parents first came to this country. Let's be honest. All this stuff about Nimrata, all these Opera research, is finna to come out. And it's going to come out real soon. Just stay tuned. And Iowa caucuses, we don't know how that's going to go because Iowa caucuses don't really determine races. It's definitely didn't determine the race on the Democratic side. And it's not really going to determine races on the Republican side. And it hasn't, because that bum did not win Iowa in 2016. It was Ted Cruz. That man won South Carolina, and he's projecting to win South Carolina again. And trust me, he will win South Carolina again. Because South Carolina actually likes Trump's ass. They don't really like Nimrata like that. Republicans nationally are not going to go for Nimrata. And people in her state are not going to go for Nimrata. So, next. They'll go for DeSantis over her. I'm just saying. And as for the Democratic Party, on the other hand, our party got to get a little bit more savvy in our messaging. We're so scared to tout our achievements because it will get misconstrued for cockiness. But let's be real. Within the last 55 years, Democrats actually been providing, besides that mass incarceration thing, which black Democrats were for, believe it or not, majority. Democrats have been helping the country overall. And not just black people, but all racial demographics and all marginalized communities. And that's the truth. Democrats is the reason why healthcare is the law of the land. Why there's recidivism when you're serving a wrongful sentence. Why now there's a lower cost of insulin. Why, around the 90s, black people was able to get homes before more Republicans started getting voted into office and try to mess things up. There's a lot of achievements. Why there is more energy apartments? Because of Democrats. There's a lot. But you got to tout your own message. Because when Democrats are in power, the country does better. with economics, with social service policies and social programs. Unlike the other side, trying to ban books and whatnot. So I'm not telling people who to vote for. I'm just telling people to make a wise decision. Because on the other side, there is chaos, dissension, and division. While on this side, there's actually progress, change waiting to happen. It may be incremental, but big change about to happen if people work together and vote for the right people. You can have civil and policy disagreements, but when you try to ban books and try to cause insurrections, that's on a whole another level of crazy. And that's the truth. And speaking of more Democrats, I live in the state of New York. Born, bred it, still live here. I live in the city. Our state party chairman is an older white man, well, middle-aged white man from Nassau County. Have he been around a lot of black people? I don't know. I can't speak for that. But what I can speak to is the lack of messaging, outreach, and ground game. Your ground game got to be great. Your outreach got to be great. Outreach, snail mail, outreach, out in the streets, in uncharted territories where, you know, you may stick out as a sore thumb, and just all over. You cannot ignore the black and Hispanic and Asian New Yorkers. You can't do that. And I don't know who is in charge of the social media content, who is employed by the New York State Democratic Party. But my message to y'all is you guys need to establish some type of strategy and ground game and outreach to get people to be enthusiastic, for people to know where to vote. Because state party chairmen are relying on the national chairman to do their job. The national chairman is actually doing his job. It's the state party chairmen and chairwomen that are like sitting on their hands. And I know he's sitting on his hands. Because he think that, oh, it's New York, everybody's going to turn out. No. And then you're relying on the city, the same city that you don't come to. Because I have not seen you walk around this plank yet. Not walk up and down the streets of the Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, even Staten Island. I have not seen you, sir. You need to be out there. You need to have your people out there. You can't just advocate for one person and then forget about all the other people. No, that don't work that way. Each election is going to get harder. So you need to do something, because people need to know where they're voting at. People need to know what events is around them, how they can help. Not doing none of that shit. Not even sending snail mail newsletters. That's why the New York State Democrat Party need to get it together. You need to diversify. Y'all need some color up in there, because I don't know if it's fully white people working there. I have no idea. But the ground game and the outreach is abysmal. Y'all need to do better. That's all I'm saying. And that's a fact. And before I get into this thing, I'm just going to say this. Each election is going to get harder. The 2020 election was hard, but this election is going to be harder. And then the next one. And then the next one. Not every 4 years is going to get harder. Each and every election is going to get harder. Whether it's local or state, it's going to get harder because they see black people coming out to vote. And when you see black people coming out to vote, no matter which party they're in, or they're independents, leaning Dems or leaning Republicans, they're going to come out and vote for their best interests. And when they see they vote for one side that has their best interests at heart, the other side goes and does some voter suppression nonsense and put out bills and do everything to suppress the vote so they can stay in power. Republicans, and I out it, are playing the long game. They play the long game with our justice system because they know they cannot win races fairly, especially legislative seats and even governorships. So what they do, they get elected on courts or get a lifetime appointments on courts. Like the Supreme Court, for example. There are 6 conservative judges. Except one, most of them are far right. That's why there was a particular year where an election was so important, but people could not vote for that woman. But y'all willing to support the other lady who's willing to put a ban on your reproductive rights. Y'all got to make that shit make sense. But as I say, each election is going to get harder. It's going to get harder because this country is still divided. This country was never going to get rid of this division overnight. It's going to take years. It's going to take at least about another 10 years for the country to get to an amicable place where they are so they can flush out all the hate and get to a place where there could be some consensus. Is the racism is going to go away in this country in this lifetime? Absolutely not. And that's just honesty. It's not. How can you make this world better? How can you make yourself better without your implicit biases? Listen and read some books instead of talking. Because when you talk a lot, you're not learning. So I'm saying to everybody, stay engaged, stay informed. And speaking of being informed, Leonard Larry McKelvey, if you don't know his name, you know him as Charlemagne the God. I don't even like to say Charlemagne the God because he is no God. I call his ass Leonard. So Leonard is doing a whole new podcast with some familiar faces within our politics and in our media. Now, I have nothing against the 3 people that are on his podcast. May God be the glory, and may they have a successful podcast, because I won't be listening to it. It's not just being mean. I just won't be listening to it because I don't listen to nothing with Leonard Larry McKelvey's name attached to anything. But it's one thing to air out grievances of your disagreements with the administration. But to bash them when they haven't done anything is absolutely insane. And for Leonard to be called a political maverick is a disrespect to strategists I know that's been in the game for at least 20 plus years. If anything, the strategists that worked in the White House during this administration, other Democratic administrations, it's an insult to them. It's an insult. And Leonard don't even know the basics of our political system. He doesn't even know how the 3 branches check and balances each other. I guess I'm going to have to give this lesson again. The legislative branch make and pass the laws, while the executive branch enforces those laws that are passed. And if those laws are deemed unconstitutional or up for debate, it goes to judicial branch, also known as the courts. And they deem it whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional. That's a simple 3rd or 4th grade lesson. It gives you Schoolhouse Rock. So I don't even understand why Leonard Larry McKelvey is being taken seriously. But I'm going to just say this. Leonard is not a star. As I said on my Twitter post, he's not a political maverick. He is no one to get any political analysis or advice from. That man does not know how our government functions, how it benefits, how policies benefits. He talks off his personal grievance. And I know he's still mad at what happened damn near almost 4 years ago. If he just be real and just said that, he would get some kind of respect. But I still don't respect the man. So I need for people to stop giving this man a platform, because this man is also problematic and he chats too much like an old ass church lady, and church ladies that I go to church with don't even chat like that. So let's all stop giving Leonard Larry McKelvey airtime. And by the way, The Breakfast Club is shit. He's the reason why I don't listen to morning radio. Fight me on that hill. Now, as I'm ending this, I would like to part this message to my white counterparts, if you're listening. We all know this election is going to be harder, and everybody's tired of hearing about our democracy's on the line, but it literally is. You got one candidate who is willing to cause another insurrection, cause dissension, more further dissension in our country, and is willing to deport people to another country that they're not even natives of because of the way they look. Versus the person who's actually is trying to defend our freedoms and pass laws to make sure that people can live the way they want to live and have the means of living how they want to live or how they should live. So you need to pick and choose which side, the side of good or the side of evil. Because the middle person y'all want to pick to, she is not on the side of good. She is just as evil as that man that caused the insurrection. The difference is she won't cause the insurrection. She will actually follow the Constitution. But she will make sure that people that even look like her and that look like me won't have our rights. She will continue on that Reagan tradition of, pull yourself off the bootstraps. As if black people didn't lift her family up the bootstraps. So I'm encouraging you, white, moderate, independent voters, not all of you, but the majority of you, and even white women, the majority of you, or a smidgen of you that is leaning towards Nimrod and Nikki Haley, I suggest that you don't. Because if you're supporting her or supporting that bum, then you're not an ally to black, brown, indigenous, or other marginalized communities, including the LGBTQ+. So pick your poison. But until then, folks, have a great night. Be well, be blessed.